Hi, Carter.
There you go.
So we will begin now. Hey everyone, hope you are doing great. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Tunga, Marketing Manager at ITTStar Consulting. We're excited to host this webinar on embedded analytics with Amazon QuickSight. This will be an 1 hour session where the first 45 minutes will be an extremely interactive session, followed by a demo on AWS QuickSight Embedded Analytics. The last 15 minutes will be Q&A session where we will try answering your questions or queries if you get any along the way. So feel free to leave your questions in the chat window, which is open now. So let me begin with introducing ITTStar Consulting. We're a customer-centric enterprise delivering global software solutions with specialization in digitalization of business assets using data analytics. Our unique approach facilitates solving complex problems by helping businesses build cloud native data platforms, enabling capabilities that drive innovative solutions. So today we have Carter Mercer in the panel, data engineer at ITT Star, who will be sharing us rich insights on what is embedded analytics, common capabilities of embedded analytics platform, how to choose the best embedded analytics solution to modernize your application, and much more. Carter is an associate data engineer at ITT Star Consulting, where he builds data analytics solutions in Amazon QuickSight for clients in industries such as finance, healthcare, and retail. He has a MS Business Analytics from the University of New Hampshire and is AWS Data Analytics certified. He's passionate about solving important business problems using an advanced analytics workflow. So without wasting much time, let me invite Carter. Over to you, Carter.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Thega, and I'm happy to see everybody here today. As she mentioned, I have a lot of expertise in the AWS analytics ecosystem, and I'm hoping to pass on some of that expertise in the embedded analytics portion of that. Just a bit more before I get started about ITT Star is we have some solutions in about 6 areas: digital transformation, so digital user engagement, customer insights and business intelligence, which is going to be more of the focus today with the embedded analytics, and then some AI and ML services in digital products and cloud services, the digital workplace, and also automation. And just before I get started, we cover quite a bit of AWS services, specifically a lot of them in the data analytics space you can see here. So specific to using something like QuickSight, we can build end-to-end solutions using AWS. So without any further delay, let me get started. So the agenda we're going to cover today is going to be on just a brief QuickSight overview, and then we'll go into a QuickSight embedded analytics overview. So this will be the main focus of this webinar as expected. Next, we'll talk about some of the challenges with current solutions, embedded analytics challenges that might be facing businesses today, and some of the benefits of using QuickSight for embedded analytics. Next, we'll talk about some of the types of embedded analytics that you can do in QuickSight, and also some of the different methods that you can use to embed dashboards into your applications and web portals. And then I'll conclude with a technical demo on anonymous embedding, and we'll finish up with a Q&A session. So please feel free to put any questions into the chat during this session. We will collect those, and we'll be able to address all of those at the end of the session. So let's get started. So before diving into embedded analytics, some of you might be aware of Amazon QuickSight, and I'm just going to briefly cover at the high level what this tool is and its capabilities for which you would like to embed into your applications. So it's a powerful BI tool, and it allows you to connect to a variety of data sources, several different data sources, and analysts are able to author interactive dashboards and reports, and they can share them to be used across the organization and share them with readers, which are the consumers of the dashboards. So you can see in this diagram, in this case, we've connected Redshift to QuickSight. So we're getting data from our data warehouse, and the BI team and the data analysts are building dashboards and reports for the end users in the organization. And some of the key features of QuickSight. So one of the most advantageous features of QuickSight are shown by these images. And the first one is you pay only for what you use, and this is consistent with other AWS offerings. In addition, it's serverless, so you can scale to tens of thousands of users. Later, I'll speak on this next point in more detail, but you can use QuickSight to discover hidden insights using its ML machine learning powered capabilities. And then, of course, we have embedded analytics, which will be the focus for the remainder of this discussion. And then finally, just a couple more notes. QuickSight allows you to build end-to-end solutions using a variety of tools. You can stay within AWS, or you can use your own custom solution and use QuickSight as a good landing spot for your data. And QuickSight Mobile is another feature that's good to know about, so you can enjoy QuickSight on the go. So now we know what Amazon QuickSight is at a high level, and embedding dashboards is something that's becoming increasingly important. So sometimes simply creating dashboards and sharing them from the console just isn't enough. And so embedding dashboards in your applications is one of the best ways to use QuickSight in actual applications in the real world. So you can create some beautiful dashboards and reports for your organization, but you really need a place to make them useful. So this is where embedded analytics comes in. So you can see the flow of the diagram above, and basically we can import data from a variety of sources as shown in one of the last diagrams. And through some sort of data flow, some sort of pipeline, for example, we can get data into a data lake or a data warehouse, and we can connect it to QuickSight. So the difference in this diagram from the first one, which is the key to embedded analytics, is that the dashboards are built and then shared with the end users in a different way here. So in this case, we build the dashboards with embedded analytics, and then they're placed strategically in the customer application, which could be usually a software as a service app, so a SaaS app, or some sort of enterprise web portal. And the customer's client users are now able to access all of the reports. And of course, this is at a high level, so we'll go into a lot more detail on the different specific types of embedding that we can do. So we've seen kind of how the embedded analytics workflow is built. So taking a step back, like why would we want to embed analytics? And there's a lot of reasons why. And I'll explain the motivation behind embedded analytics and the challenges of current solutions, and then of course the benefits that come with embedding your analytics. So as most of you know, and if you're attending this webinar, you likely want to figure out more efficient ways to look at your data. So applications are generating a lot of data today, and now more than ever, this is true. And this can become overwhelming for the end user, specifically the data analyst who needs to figure out the best way to create analytics and get them into the hands of the receivers of the data. And this can cause a lot of stress and a lot of frustration as data analysts and BI engineers, et cetera, don't know what to do, the best way to display their data. So what can embedded analytics do to take away from some of this frustration? Well, first of all, switching between several different applications and BI tools can take time and become cumbersome. So using a common tool like QuickSight and embedding it into an application removes some of the overhead of working with so many different applications and tools. So you might think of BI tools preferred by certain members of your organization. Maybe they're using some open source tools and libraries and different ways of connecting data. But by using QuickSight for embedded analytics, you can greatly reduce some of this complexity that comes with using a variety of tools. The next reason is that dashboards become easy to access. So data actually gets consumed more, which is great for the internal user engagement. Or if you're a vendor of software and you're creating some SaaS application, then this is good for your end users because they become more engaged and interested in using the data. Time to market also improves because there are less tools to use to embed visuals and apps. And so it reduces the development time and resources. And then finally, QuickSight offers some deep analytical capabilities. So we'll cover more about that later, but we can do some really advanced analytics using Amazon QuickSight. So the reason to use embedded analytics is really compelling, but there are a lot of challenges with building your own embedded analytics solutions or some of the current out-of-the-box solutions. So building your own embedded analytics solutions is hard, it's expensive, it's time-consuming, and it's resource-intensive. So just think about all the development that might have to be done to create end-to-end embedded solutions in your applications. Your business just might not be able to afford all this time, money, and resources that goes into building an end-to-end solution. So the challenges that come with the current out-of-the-box solutions include that it's hard to scale, issues with pricing, maybe you don't want to pay for all the features that you need, and the lack of advanced features. So we'll kind of see in the remainder of this section how QuickSight aims to take on some of these challenges. So the benefits, the key benefits of using Amazon QuickSight for embedded analytics is number one, it's really seamless and easy to embed and make look nice and in line with your application. You can enable deeper data insights. It's scalable and fully managed. You pay only for what you use. And for the development of it, there's a lot of great QuickSight APIs and different languages you can use to integrate into your existing applications. So point number one is the seamless capability of using embedded analytics in QuickSight. So QuickSight has the ability to be creative with different themes. We can assign different colors, spacing, backgrounds, fonts, etc. And we can really customize this to look like our own application. In addition, the customized software development kit, the SDK, allows you to integrate dashboards seamlessly into your application pages. So next, QuickSight also allows you to begin exploring the data to get advanced insights. So certain features like anomaly detection, forecasting, auto narratives can all help identify important trends in the data and find outliers not immediately obvious to the end user. So auto narratives allow for information to be read in plain English. So this can be really helpful if you're consuming the data right in your application, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the reports you're already viewing. And then we can also augment QuickSight with SageMaker and introduce even our own trained models to make predictions on the data sources in QuickSight. So being able to embed your analytics allows you to bring your own machine learning models right into whatever application or portal, web portal you're using. And I just want to note, I'll talk about QuickSight Q just briefly, which is a natural language querying tool that QuickSight allows. So you can speak directly to your data and ask questions, and you'll get some data returned, some visualizations returned just by speaking to QuickSight itself. So this next point about the scalability of QuickSight. So it can scale from tens of users to hundreds of thousands. And this is increasingly important when you have a huge audience. And this is extremely important when you have an embedded dashboard that you want to use for even an entire organization. And using Spice, it's super fast, parallel, in-memory computation engine. can make the data even faster when it loads. So you don't have to worry about loading times inside of your applications. And then some of the key benefits of using QuickSight is how easy it will be to integrate into your existing applications. So developers will find the QuickSight API operations to really accomplish a lot, and a lot of customization that can be done. And the SDKs available accommodate some really popular languages. So just to list off some of these, the API operations allow you to manage users and groups. We can manage data, like data sources, data sets, templates, and the spice ingestion, dashboard management. If you already have some templates that you'd like to use, you can use the API to get those set up. And then permissions, which can be default permissions by Amazon or even custom permissions, you can customize that. And then some of the SDKs, as you can see, we have Java, JavaScript, Python, .NET, C#, and then the AWS command line interface, which I'll be using to showcase one of the embedding types later. So now getting to some of the actual embedding types. So first and foremost, you have to have the enterprise edition to do embedding, if I haven't mentioned that yet. But first, the entire console can be embedded directly into an application. So if you're familiar with the console of QuickSight, that's kind of what it looks like. You can look at your different analyses, dashboards, data sets. And so if you were authoring a dashboard directly into your application, this makes it a way to pretty much do everything all in one place. You can create the dashboards inside of your application, and you can publish them right into the existing application. And it's like a one-stop shop for the BI process. And then we can also bring in dashboards, as well as the QuickSight Q search bar for the natural language querying. And the bottom image helps to show this Q functionality. And I think it's just good to know that you can do this if you'd like. You can embed that as well. And just one more note, for the console and Q, the user has to be registered as QuickSight authors or admins in your account. But dashboards can be embedded for pretty much anybody. So you can embed dashboards for unauthenticated visitors. And I'll use this method later. Or any really type of QuickSight user who's authenticated into your AWS account already. So some of the embedding options to choose from include embedding with the API. So this includes user-based embedding and anonymous embedding. And I'll be going into more depth on both of these types. But some of the features include an embedded authoring experience. So things like namespaces for multi-tenancy, which can help when you really want to separate different groups entirely, and you don't want groups and users to be able to see any sort of data, reports, dashboards that's unrelated to them or that they shouldn't be allowed to see. There's also custom user permissions and some account level customizations. And what I hadn't mentioned yet is the one-click enterprise embedding. And this is also available, and I'll just discuss this in a bit more detail in a minute. So with the existing dashboard embedding and API capabilities, we can really do some advanced analytics. And this is particularly helpful for the developers and the software vendors who build these applications, and allows you to create some even canned reporting and dashboards to all of your end users, and some pretty advanced ad hoc queries and exploration to some of the end users. So the first type that I want to go into detail about, user-based embedding. And this is a really powerful way of getting information into the hands of all of your external users. The embedding sessions allow you to embed the full QuickSight experience into your web page. So as we mentioned, this is helpful for authoring, and then even readers too. Just having the full QuickSight console into your web page can be really powerful. It helps you get the dashboards into your readers' hands without building any additional selection controls. And the final point is just about a possible use case. So for example, you might want to embed a QuickSight dashboard into an external web page, and your company might have authenticated access set up. So some sort of single sign-on provider. And this is a good use case where you can embed a dashboard and just allow your user of the dashboard to sign on with single sign-on. So for anonymous embedding, it's very useful in scenarios where you want to provide the same data to anyone who accesses your site. And it frees you from having to register users in QuickSight when you don't really care about user context. I just want to touch on the last point though. If you do care about user context, there's something called tag-based row-level security, and you can use this where you have a user group context and you want to show them different views of data, but without explicitly registering them in QuickSight. So this is really useful for situations with extremely high volume of users. So for example, like a software vendor is creating an application and they don't really know how many people are going to have to be registered, but you do know you have to have some sort of data security set up. So that can be helpful in that case. And then the last type of embedding that's currently available in Amazon is when you want to share a dashboard with registered users in your account, you can copy an embed code for the dashboard and paste it into your application's code. And this is kind of best for when you want to embed a QuickSight dashboard in an internal application and users need to authenticate into. So, and when you copy the code, the embed code doesn't change. So it's really useful. You can just simply share it with other registered users. And I'll just go through the steps real briefly. You can grant access to the dashboard. And then you'll allow list the embedding domain, get the embed code and paste the code into your internal application's HTML page. And documentation's pretty well covered in AWS, but this can all be done using the console. So there's no need to do any coding for this step, other than the final step. So I'm now going to go into kind of a simple technical example using the CLI and QuickSight's API to show how we can embed a dashboard step by step using anonymous embedding. So here's kind of the steps for the process of this anonymous embedding. So this process will be the workflow, and this kind of assumes that we've already set up data sources and we've created analyses. And so the first main step will be to publish these analyses into some dashboards. Next, we'll whitelist domains, and I'll explain what this means and why you need to do that. And you're going to need, as I mentioned, the enterprise edition of QuickSight to do this and admin access. Using AWS IAM rules and policies, we can set up permissions for embedded users, and then actually getting the embedded dashboard URL for new and existing readers. And then just a final example of how to embed the dashboard into an application or website. And I'll show an example of an anonymous embedding example that we've used in our company, in our own website that we've developed ourselves. So once we've created our dashboards, we'll publish it and share it with the users and groups that we want to share with. So if you're familiar with the QuickSight console, then you know publishing a dashboard is relatively simple, and you see it on the left what that might look like. And there's even some advanced publishing options. So for example, you publish a dashboard and you don't want your users to be able to download the data from QuickSight. You could uncheck that enable CSV downloads option at the bottom, and that would take care of that. And then on the right, you might share the dashboard with several different users, or you can share it with different groups, and you can designate what kind of permission they have and manage this dashboard access over time, and share it with those users and groups. So this step is really important. You actually have to whitelist the domains you want to be able to access your embedded dashboards. So as you can see in the memo, it says embedded dashboards only work if they originate from domains you explicitly allow. So you have to add the necessary domains for your application or web portal from which your users will be accessing dashboards. And this is also done in the console. And as I mentioned, admin access is necessary to get to this step. So getting into more of the details and more of the technical part is the IAM role that needs to be set up. So we need to create a policy written in this AWS JSON format. And this will be created so that we can later call the API, the QuickSight API, to get the dashboard embed URL and the generate embed URL for anonymous user. So just to note, I think the old API was get embed URL, but now it's called generate embed URL. And then one important thing to note is about the type of pricing that you have to have set up for anonymous embedding. So if I haven't mentioned this, it's you need to enable session pack or session capacity pricing on your AWS account. And this allows you to allow a certain amount of people to be registered each month. This next policy will be created so that the application will be able to create any new readers of the embedded dashboard. So when a user tries to view the dashboard for the first time, we need to make sure they'll be able to do so. So we have to register them on the fly as they access the dashboard. So the preceding steps kind of set up a role, and we'll call it QuickSight embed role. So as you can see, we're using that as our resource, the QuickSight embed role. And you basically need a trust policy on the application itself, an IAM identity, and it has to be associated to the role that we just created. So this means that when a user accesses the application, it can assume the role on behalf of the user and then open the dashboard. And the service being used here is AWS STS, so a security token service by AWS, which allows, we're using it to assume the role in this case. So these commands may seem like a lot, but it's kind of the process that will be used to authenticate new users that aren't registered. And I'll break this down and explain what's going on here in this workflow. So when a user accesses your app, the app assumes the IAM role on the user's behalf, which is the role that we just saw, and it adds the user to QuickSight. And if the user doesn't already exist, then it passes an identifier as kind of a unique role for them. So the first command here at the top assumes the role, and then the following 3 lines allow you to store the credentials that you're going to need for the following commands. The second command, which is describing the user, what this will do is it attempts to see if the user is already authenticated. And if they are, they'll be given access. Otherwise, we can go to the next command and we can use the register user API call to create a new reader, which you can see in the third command, the register user API call. And the user here is QuickSight user at example.com. And you see in the create group membership API call, we're adding them to the operations group. So we can add new readers to a certain group if we need to. And finally, the last command is generating the embed URL for the registered user. And this specifies how they're going to access the dashboard with the URL. You can see like one of the arguments is session lifetime in minutes. So we can even decide how long they should be able to access the resource for. And just one more note, while these are all done on the command line and you can see it step by step in an actual development environment, you might want to use some of the SDKs provided that we spoke about earlier and programmatically get this into your website or application. And that way, when new users come in, it'll be automatic and they'll be able to view the dashboards and reports on the fly. So finally, this comes from the AWS documentation. It's like an example function. A popular method of embedding dashboard is with this JavaScript function, and you can integrate this right into your application code. You can do different things with the SDK, so you can embed the dashboard in your web page, or put it into an iframe URL. You can place the dashboard on an HTML page. You can pass parameters into the dashboard, and then you can handle different error states and messages that are already existing or you want to integrate into your application. So I'll finish off just with a quick example. This is an anonymous embedding website that was made by us. And in this case, it's for auto insurance operations. So this dashboard might be relevant for a team that's on the operations team, and we don't know exactly who in the team is going to access it. So we've decided to embed this dashboard into one of our applications. And now when users want to access, they're able to get authenticated and access this dashboard right inside of the application or website, wherever they may be. All right, and that's everything that I have today. So I just want to thank everyone who joined, and the remainder of the session will be for questions and answers. So I believe we've been collecting those throughout, and I'm happy to answer some of those now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carter. That was a very insightful presentation. Let me highlight few points which you covered. AWS QuickSight Embedded Analytics can help you and your business with seamless integration into SaaS applications or enterprise portals, enables deeper data insights within an organization, scalable, fully managed, and pay only for what you use. So this is the beauty of AWS QuickSight Embedded Analytics. Thank you so much, Carter, for showing us some quick references and use cases also. I'm sure the audience got benefited. So let's move on to the last part of the webinar, which is Q&A session. Let me read out some questions for you, Carter. So the first question we have is, can we embed this in our existing application? Answer is yes. Carter, please answer this.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the points I touched on with the software development kits and different ways to integrate code into your existing application, you can absolutely do that. And using the QuickSight API allows you to customize that.
Yeah. So moving on to the next question. Can I learn more on the session capacity pricing?
Yeah, so let me think. As I talked about that earlier, it's necessary for the anonymous embedding case because you're not sure exactly how many users you might have. So you need to set up session capacity pricing. And this allows you to have a certain amount of readers per month. So you can, I'm not sure on the exact pricing, but you can refer to the AWS pricing for session capacity pricing. And it'll allow you to have 500 readers per month, 1,000 readers per month, 100,000 up to 1 million or more if you need. And the pricing varies based on that. And I think each session that the reader gets is about 30 minutes. So you keep that in mind that if somebody accesses, they have like 30 minutes to view the dashboard. Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to the next question. Have customers had specific requests before when coming to QuickSight Embedded Analytics?
Yeah, I think a lot of customers look for this kind of solution because it's really the best way to start using QuickSight in your applications. And I know the last client I had been working with wanted to implement the embedded analytics. So the one-click idea was recommended, but also the client wanted custom permissions to be made. So that can be created using the custom permissions in QuickSight, and using the API, you can set custom permissions. And they also wanted to be able to scale to the entire organization. So again, QuickSight can handle that. And I think in their case, maybe a user-based was a better solution because they had single sign-on and authentication already set up. So they wanted to make sure all the permissions were set accordingly.
Okay. So moving on to the next question. Power BI is richer in features. Why we use QuickSight more often? What's the difference between them?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, Power BI is a great tool, and I think what people find great about QuickSight, it's ease of use, and just as you start to learn more about QuickSight, things become really simple to do some pretty advanced things with its ML capabilities and integrating with SageMaker, and in addition, it's like serverless capability that we have, and while Power BI has those features as well, QuickSight offers a very similar solution in that regard. And in particular, the embedded analytics I find to be pretty straightforward in QuickSight. So it limits a lot of the development time and resources that might go into embedding these dashboards.
Okay. So moving on to the next question. What is the ideal time frame to embed this QuickSight in our existing application? I think it's about the time frame required to implement QS.
I guess it depends on the situation a little bit, because in terms of what kind of permissions you're looking for. So if you're looking to embed just a very basic anonymous dashboard demo like that I had shown, that can be done in one day. If you want to start getting into more of the specific permissions that need to be set, and maybe you have user-based embedding that you want to implement, then that can take more time, like a couple weeks or more, depending on how complex it gets. But the one-click feature that I had shared, you can do that in just a couple minutes. So it really depends on your use case, I think.
Mm-hmm. The next question, is it suitable for retail industry?
Is it good for the retail industry?
Yeah. That's the question.
Yeah, I think it's good for the retail industry. It's really good for any industry because analytics are used widely. So embedding analytics into any sort of retail applications can definitely provide a lot of benefits, I think.
Mhm. So will this help our job portal application? Next question.
Job portal application.
Yeah.
So an application where you might like advertise jobs, like, is that the idea?
I think so. That's the question asked by the audience. I think we can definitely reach out to them for more information if they require.
Yeah, I think I'd like to know some more information on that.
Right. So I think that's all the questions. So we have an QS dashboards live on our website. Please visit on to ITTStar.com to have a demo of QS dashboards for insurance industry, retail industry, telecom industry, and for finance also. You can also get the full admin access to see how exactly these dashboards can give you deeper insights on your business module. And for any other information, please feel free to reach out to us on ITTStar.com. Visit us, and you can also send your questions or anything if you have in the chat window on ITTStar.com. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. And that's all we have for today. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Yeah,
Kap.
thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.